But I just knew. With a place like Hong Kong, everything I've seen of it and heard of it, I just knew it was a cool place. Giles, one of the main guys from a production team, Visive, just dropped me a text and said, dude, let's go to Hong Kong. And I couldn't think of a reason not to. That was it, done. Booked the tickets the same day.
I was like on my last week in Bangkok, and then I got a WhatsApp from Tim, and he was like, hey, what are you up to? You have some free time to come down to Hong Kong? And I pretty much just said, yeah, of course. I dropped everything I was about to do, and then 2-3 days afterwards I was on a plane to Hong Kong.
Just so proud of Hong Kong as a place. Growing up here, it's, in my opinion, obviously it's home, but it's also the sickest city in the world, I think. So when Tim expressed that him and Giles were going out there, you know, I was obviously excited that they were going to go out there, but I was obviously fucking jealous, and I was like, oh, I can't let them go out there without me. And then Tim kind of said, well, if we go out, can you sort us out with a place to stay, and can you show us some places? And I was like, boom, yes.
Before coming to Hong Kong, I just had this big city in my head. That's all I really knew about it. This massive place somewhere in China that's kind of similar but different from the rest of China. I didn't really know that much about it. I was excited to come here.
I don't want to make any false claims here, but I'm pretty sure the statistic is 70% of the people in Hong Kong live in 10% of its area. And something like 60% of Hong Kong is national park, which, yeah, is a little bit different to what people think.
We jumped into a cab at the airport, and instead of driving into what I would think Hong Kong was, we drove into the nature, through forests and mountains, and I was like, what's going on? Are we driving, are we not in Hong Kong yet? Are we about to get into Hong Kong? And then we arrive at Ed's family's house, which is a beach house in the middle of nowhere, really, really beautiful and quiet, not much going on. And I'm like, oh, this is not really what I expected Hong Kong to be like.
I just thought things are coming together right now. I was just excited for what the rest had to offer. On day one, Ed wanted to take us to a beach called Saun in Saigon Country Park.
I had kind of mixed feelings about it, because on one side I really love doing that kind of stuff. It's so nice to be in those places, but on the other side it's like, we're here to film a freerunning video. Are we going to be able to get any action here? Is this going to be valuable to what we want to shoot? And then you just have to trust into the unknown, and that's one of the most beautiful things, is just going somewhere and not knowing what's going to happen.
We're approaching Saigon Country Park, the entrance to it. You're not allowed to bring your cars in, so we're going to have to pull a little sneaky one.
Let me.
Oh, let's get a
Visitor center inside.
Okay, I'll turn around.
Pay me and come here.
I'll turn around.
You turn out.
Yeah, we'll turn around. Peace, bruh. Peace.
I just love nature, like looking out. Nature is so soft on the eye, it really makes me feel settled and calm. It's timeless. There's no ego involved, there's no logos or opinions. And I think when you are in the city too much, you lose that, because you see all these squares and blocks, and it is kind of like being in a prison.
Oh, it's you that fueled the flames.
It was such a privilege being able to show Tim and Jason around some of the spots that I grew up going. We took camping trips to really remote beaches, cliff jumping into the waterfalls.
Because for us freerunners, it's kind of cliff jumping is not really free running, it's more like diving or acrobatics, but it's such a good place for us to practice. Especially like a lot of free runners, or a lot of us, when we started training, we couldn't get into gyms or we couldn't get access to crash mats, anything like it, so water was such a natural way of progression. The next morning we woke up at the beach, not feeling the most relaxed. It's not a bed after all, but it was a fun experience. We just took a cab back into the city where we arranged to meet up with the locals.
Went into the centre of Hong Kong for the first time and it is hectic. There's a lot of tourists, it's just so busy.
Having Tim and Jason out here and seeing their pure, genuine appreciation for some of the spots kind of refreshed and reviewed my perception of it, and kind of made me appreciate how lucky it was to call this place home.
The beauty of the parkour community is, you know, that if you go to any major city in the world, there's always going to be people that you can meet up with, whether you speak the same language or not. We knew coming here we would have no problem finding some locals, messaged them on Facebook, got to meet up with them really quickly.
When we came to the train station, there was like 30, 40 free runners, and that was just amazing to see how strong free running is here and how many people are passionate about it. I didn't really get what that place was for. It was just like a fun playground. There was like people practicing kung fu, people just chilling, and nobody really bothered about us free running.
What's beautiful about parkour in Asia is they don't say let's train parkour like we do in Europe and Russia and America. They say let's play parkour, and that's exactly what it's all about. It's all about playing. It's a weird flow to begin with, and eventually you'll come together and you start playing together, and it just takes a while to get into it. But once you get into it, it's a really beautiful thing to be a part of.
You progress as a group, because Tim coming from the UK, me coming from Germany, and then the Hong Kong kids, it's such a fresh mix of movement. You can learn something from everybody, and everybody kind of adds something to the free running world, to the big puzzle, and we all grow together, and that's such a cool thing, and it's so amazing to see. Being on a week-long trip, you can't really go out and train every day. So the next day we went to just explore TST and explore the more city side of Hong Kong a bit, and enjoy walking around and just seeing some things, seeing some different things we wouldn't have in Europe.
Obviously, Hong Kong being under British rule until '97 lends itself to a big mesh of Western and Asian culture together, which in my opinion is a pretty beautiful blend of two cultures together.
They have like Jackie Chan's fingerprints there. They have Bruce Lee's statue, are obviously like Chinese heroes, but also heroes to me as a kid and to me today as well. I feel like on these trips I'm surrounded by so amazing people and so unique environments that I have to take a camera and get a photo, and I just enjoy capturing the moments.
Me and Jason are both into fashion, and we both have our own free-running clothing companies. So to go to a place like Mongkok and see all the markets, it's quite inspiring to try and find some new things to take back.
You take in so many different things at the same time, and you make connections between stuff you normally wouldn't. And that's something you can only do in a place like Hong Kong. You walk through the store and you see like a cut on some pants or a print, and you always make like little mental notes of like, oh, that would be cool, or if you do that and wouldn't put a different twist to it, that would be nice. So once again, if we wouldn't have Ed, we'd be like, we're in Hong Kong, we'll go to the middle of the city, we'll find something to train at.
When we were kind of designing and sorting out where we were going to go, I wanted to include an island.
I feel like every time you're not sure if this is a good idea or not, every time you just feel like you're gonna see if you can get lucky, and if you just go for it and head into the unknown, every time you get rewarded by taking that risk.
The beautiful thing about the architecture of small little villages like this is that there's such random streets and junctions that you never know what you're going to stumble across. There's no structure to it like a New York street or London. You can just walk and walk for ages, and on the way just stumble across new locations.
There is a nice challenge of doing something with less possibilities. Like sometimes you go to an amazing spot and there's so much to do, it's kind of overwhelming. You end up doing the same stuff you do every day. But then going to an island where there are limited possibilities, you have to force yourself to think outside the box. Having Tim around, and I feel like we're on a similar wavelength. We kind of understand each other's possibilities and each other's movements really well. We can go out and support each other and be creative together.
I love helping him come up with his runs, and I like it when I can have someone to feed off when I'm like, should I try this or this? And he has a really good vision for how it's going to come out on camera. And in Chung Chao, it worked like that the whole day. I'm never sure when I go to a new part of the world how the culture is going to respond to free running, and whether they see it as an offensive thing or a childish thing or dangerous.
Pretty much everywhere we went, as soon as we started jumping, people just appreciated it. Maybe that's because they have such a long heritage of Kung Fu and Jackie Chan, that they have a different connection to it, that it's not something some crazy people do, but something a national hero of them does.
As a newcomer to a vegetarian vegan diet, it's quite nice to go to a place like Hong Kong and discover there's vegan restaurants, and even just in every restaurant you go to there's great vegetarian options. There's so many vegetables and steamed rice that you can eat, very healthy and clean, and that's evident in a lot of the locals. There's not that many fat people around. Apart from that big Buddha chap, he's pretty big. I remember seeing maybe a year ago a picture of Big Buddha. I'd never seen it before and I was amazed at the size of this thing, and I thought I'd really like to go there.
It's just an epic place. Like, you could see it on a postcard, but you could never comprehend how cool it is to go to that place and actually see that. We didn't even plan to do any free running, but when we walked up there, we were just like, all right, we got to get some shots, we got to capture some stuff here. It's such an epic location.
So going to these spots when we were at school, you know, on a geography field trip to Chung Chau, or being dragged on a religious studies trip up to the Big Buddha, I never really thought that I'd be back with free runners doing some stuff up there, but in a way it didn't really surprise me, because that's the sort of stuff that I had genuine appreciation for growing up. The videos I would see online, I would just think, that's fucking sick. So it was cool to come back.
Being quite a peaceful, spiritual person, Buddha's quite a great symbol for me of hope for the world. And to see a statue that big astounds me. To get a chance to go there in real life, I'm so grateful and humbled by it. That really made my trip.
Ed was telling me about the bridges he used to jump off as a kid. They would just go there days and days and jump off bridges, and there'd be this one high bridge where people would jump off and some people got hurt, and I felt like, oh, maybe it's not a good idea to go. And you kind of start finding excuses even if you just don't feel 100% there.
So I brought Bridal, who was one of my oldest childhood friends from Hong Kong, and we took him to the bridges with Tim and Jason. I kind of wanted him to experience what I thought these guys could bring to the equation.
And we're walking up to the bridges, it's cold, it's a little bit rainy and wet. People handing out flyers about how dangerous it is to jump off the bridges and that you should be doing it. I didn't really feel it that much. It felt more like something I had to do and something I wanted to do. The second I jumped and I left the ground, I enjoyed it so much, I knew it was a good idea. I could 100% feel and understand why Ed would go there every summer and just have fun.
You walk past the biggest jump on the way to one of the smaller ones, and at that point I really wasn't feeling it. But having gone to the smaller one and got confident with a few tricks there, coming back, I really wanted to at least do one trick off it.
When we walked up to the big bridge, I was like, all right, let's do this. The skill of bridge jumping is just one of the many amazing things peer pressure makes you do. So grateful for peer pressure right now. Good day. Police are coming.
I think police might be coming and there's a hefty fine and there's some possibly prison sentence. We're going to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Jason's going to dry up after his...
Done with jumping for today.
Yeah, pick up those big balls you got. Let's go. On the final day with Jason, we managed to sneak on some roofs near Times Square. Looking up at roofs, picking them up by random, trying to find a doorway with an elevator.
Saw this massive building, walked around the back, walked through the back door like we belong here, like we own the place. Walked into the elevator, now we're up until 40 floors. See where we end up.
For me, this may be the best parkour project I've had the pleasure of working on, where it's such a nice team of people working together in such a positive way.
We got such an amazing variety of stuff going on this trip. It's almost too much to comprehend for 1 week. Just having like such an amazing group of friends around and getting to spend time is beautiful. I mean, I'm so happy that they invited me to come out to this trip and that they trusted me to deliver basically and to be a fun guy to around. I feel honoured by that.
Hong Kong to me is such a special place, and all I can hope for is that Tim and Jason take a little piece away with them.
It's such an adventure opposed to like a commercial project where everything would be so manufactured.
In my opinion, we've barely skimmed the surface of what we can get out of Hong Kong.
There's so many back alleys and streets and buildings, islands, forests, mountains to be discovered. Like if you are a free runner and you have a city to go to that is like full of untapped potential, go to Hong Kong. It's an amazing place. I want to come back and I want to see what else you can do.